Greetings and salutations, nerds. This is Praying for Superpowers,
a show about the deeper meanings, messages, and intricacies hidden within nerd culture. I'm Peter Jordahl.
And I'm Trever Shirin, and today we're talking about Captain Mar-Vell and feminism through superhero films.
I just want you to be the best version of yourself. We should probably mark this video with spoilers.
Spoilers.
Captain Mar-Vell came out on International Women's Day just this last Friday, and I loved it. I've said before, and I'll say it again, I'm easy to please when it comes to most things, movies, games, books. It doesn't need to be super amazing for me to be entertained. That being said, I think this movie did a lot better than a lot of other Marvel movies.
Well, and I'm super tired of origin stories. Just because, I mean, how many origin movies have we had for Spider-Man?
3.
And Batman and Superman? Like, it's just like so many origin movies.
Many.
I don't know very much about Captain Mar-Vell.
Nope.
What I do know is from reading a couple comic books back in high school, it did feel new to me. And I think that's one of the reasons that they got away with the origin movie is because who really knows about Captain Mar-Vell who's not intensely aware of comic books. Also, I think that's one of the only reasons that they were able to flip the script on the Kree-Skrull War.
Yeah, that's something that's the nerd community is not happy about. As far as I've read, that the Kree are actually the bad guys and the Skrull are the victims, because that's a big thing. There's a whole series of comic books that's about the Secret War, the Hidden War.
Yep, the Secret War.
The Secret War, about the Skrull taking over planets and you not even knowing. And, Black Widow turns into a Skrull at one point.
So does Captain America.
So it's everyone. All the Avengers have been replaced, kind of a thing. And they flipped that script and I loved it. I loved that if I had to pick my absolute favorite thing about the movie is that Nick Fury's character was the second most common character in the movie because he's been like 8th or 7th where like he has lines and it's important to the plot. I loved seeing Samuel L. Jackson play out his character in full and he deserves to get his eye scratched out because you don't pick up and hold an alien that everyone has been telling you is dangerous the whole movie and hold it next to your face.
It also felt a little weird to me to have to have Nick Fury be as naive as he was. But I think it also really spoke to some character growth that happened off scene that maybe one day we'll get a full movie about.
Yeah, because he's usually the one with all the secrets and with all the knowledge and everyone else is in the dark. And like every movie he's in, and in this one, he's completely in the dark.
It's been a long time coming that we've been trying to have diverse cast, diverse writers. The director of Captain Mar-Vell is Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, but Anna comes first, and the writers were women. And I think that does a lot because I know for me, I forget how important a director's eye and perspective on a movie is to the movie.
Yeah.
I kind of see them as like a manager rather than
the painter.
The painter, yeah. And so I was really happy to see some of that perspective of Anna come through the movie in really subtle ways and I think this is the thing that really got me about the movie that I liked. It was subtle. It wasn't out to prove anything or to make any huge statements. There was one portion that they tried to make a statement and didn't do a great job at it. But the entire movie was just like, yeah, this is Captain Mar-Vell and she's awesome. And this is her story rather than women should be able to do everything and blah, 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 blah.
Wow. I feel the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. It felt really heavy-handed.
Really?
And I'm not upset about it at all. It really felt like they were like, women can do anything men can do from end to beginning to end. And they were slapping you in the face with that statement. They were like every flashback, every scene where she stands up, everything like that. They were throwing it in our face. And the reason I don't have a problem with that is because you don't have to do that in a movie where Sylvester Stallone is the lead or where Arnold Schwarzenegger is the lead. People have been commenting and posting and reviewing on Rotten Tomatoes that have been all mad about this. And I'm like, pick any masculine movie and they never excuse all the things you're complaining about in this movie. literally happen in every male-led movie that's just an action flick, and you like those, is how I felt.
Right. And when it did communicate that message, it was not in a everything else is wrong and this person is right. It was, this is the world and Captain Mar-Vell is stronger.
Strong, yeah.
Which I think is that empowerment, rather than, I think a lot of the times when, and we do this in like board games and video games and everything that we do that's competitive, we tend to fall into this trap of undermining the other person rather than being stronger ourselves.
Yeah, logical.
And it's a very different way to approach something.
Yeah. It's they chose not to go the route of logical fallacy, where if you run out of something negative to say about it, you start attacking the opponent instead of their argument. And they didn't even do that. They didn't do any of that. They just stated a fact of, this is Captain Mar-Vell, end story.
Right.
Which is awesome, because even like Peggy Carter from the first Avenger and the Agent Carter series, and I feel like Black Widow, some of the leads in Black Panther, whoever plays the Wasp, Evangeline Lilly, even their characters, it's almost like an argument. Like, I can do anything you can do is part of their character, but they're arguing it. And Captain Mar-Vell doesn't argue that at all. She's just herself, and herself is better, which is cool. That was my wife's favorite part of the movie, is besides the cat, which, if you haven't heard, my friend Andrea, she's on Instagram. Her handle's Andrea Rambles. She works for Animals for Hollywood, and she helped train Reggie, Rizzo, Gonzo, and Archie, who were the 4 cats that played Goose. So I'm one step away from a famous cat, which is neat. But so that's our favorite part, simply because we know the person who trained the cat, but also that she was quiet. Black Widow always has a funny quip. Even Chitala's sister and the captain of the guard, whose names I don't remember because I didn't look it up for this episode, have quips. They always have a response to something that someone else says. And there were so many points in the movie where I was expecting a Mar-Vell quip to ruin a good moment of silence, and Brie Larson didn't say anything. I think it's powerful to see a female lead that isn't using her feminine wiles to win her battles.
Yeah, because I think that seems to undermine the empowerment piece of, like you said, we wouldn't see Sylvester Stallone having to have all these quips. Although a movie in which Sylvester Stallone is the witty banter guy, I think could be really fun.
Yeah, I think if someone wrote that, where like Jim Carrey comes back into acting and he is the strong silent.
It's face off between Sylvester Stallone and Jim Carrey. I'd watch that one.
Watch that buddy cop movie. I would take that. Sylvester Stallone has joined the force. He's the young rookie guy, older than Jim Carrey. And Jim Carrey's the hardened police officer.
Anyways, there was this moment that I really loved in the movie where it shows all of Carol Danvers' moments of falling down. And it's the AI intelligence of the Kree that is showing her all of these moments and proving to her that she is weak and that she is nothing but a failure. And this is the moment that I don't think, and I think some of it was the soundtrack was not hard hitting enough in this scene, and some of it was it just did not hit hard enough, because it shows throughout the movie we're seeing all these falls and then we see them all at once, and then there's a switch that happens in Carol Danvers, and we start seeing after every single moment she's fallen that she got up. And it's speaking to the grit that Carol Danvers has and the resiliency that she shows. But it just wasn't enough, because that's something that I'm all about, developing grit and resiliency. I think that is huge and one of the most important aspects of human growth.
Gumption.
Right.
I think a big part of that in this movie is that development of grit comes from 2 places. In the beginning of the movie, he says, I just want you to be the best version of yourself. Don't let your emotions control you. Be in charge of them. and then you can beat me. And what happens is Carol Danvers lets go of all of her restraints that she's been putting on herself and lets herself be herself as Captain Mar-Vell. And so she lets her emotions run full, and she doesn't let them control her, but she lets them influence her. And so she's so furious, and she's so hurt, and she is wanting to protect the Skrull who are being hunted, basically, that she is more empowered. So she's empowered through her emotions by letting them come loose. And then she just photon blasts Jude Law in the chest while he's trying to pull the old "fight me like a man" speech, where like that Captain America falls for like 3 times. Someone's like, "Fight me without the shield," and he's like, "Okay," and then he still wins, but less easily. And it's like, why didn't you just deck him with the shield and walk away?
And then she has this powerful statement at the end, which I think I want to incorporate in my life more often. She says, "I have nothing to prove to you." And as a individual in the mental health field, I think that we get caught up in believing that we have something to prove to people that we don't need to prove anything to. And there's a moment where Jude Law's character says to Carol Danvers, "I'm proud of you." And that is so belittling, because it says that Jude Law's character has influence and
Power
and should be credited.
Such a cringe moment.
Yeah, credited for everything that Captain Mar-Vell has done, and that's not true. And in a lot of ways, Captain Mar-Vell has grown in spite of that character.
Yeah.
And so I think if we could develop enough grit as people to get up after we fall and to go to the people who are trying to take ownership of our own development, the things that we have worked hard to grow in, and say, "I have nothing to prove to you, and so I don't need to jump through the hoops that you're giving to me," I think that we would see a lot more superheroes in real life. And that's one of the things in Captain Mar-Vell that I saw as a huge superpower, is her ability to say, "This is who I am.
This is my grit. This is my power. This is who I am. I've earned this. I have nothing to prove to you." And that's the tagline for the movie, is that she is who she is, and who she is powerful, and she owes it to no one, which I think is awesome. And, well, she owes it to Mar-Vell, the scientist.
Right.
Kind of.
Well,
But
yeah.
She takes her name, Captain Mar-Vell, as she's never called that.
I mean, she maybe owes it to the engine that blew up in her face. But
she doesn't owe it to any man.
actually, every time that she fell in that one scene was pre-superpowers.
It's true. So her getting back up is just her.
Yep. And the superpowers came afterwards, and they strengthened her resolve.
And why did she get the superpowers? Because she did what was right at a risking of her own life. She destroyed something she didn't understand to protect it from someone she didn't know, because she understood that they were the enemy.
And she trusted her elder leader, influencer,
Mar-Vell.
Mar-Vell.
So that's what Trevor and I think about Captain Mar-Vell and female empowerment in superhero movies and how far it's come. And so we hope you go see it, and you can see it from the lens of the good instead of seeing it from the lens of the bad.
We'll catch you next time.